Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're venturing into some pretty dark territory. We've got a collection of real-life stories, accounts of unexpected danger, really chilling obsessions, and that deep sense of unease that just sticks with you. We're looking at those moments where personal safety just evaporates and, everything normal gets shattered.
And it's important to see these not just as single events, but as insights. They show the different ways threats can emerge, how trust gets twisted, boundaries get crossed, sometimes in places you'd least expect. The psychological impact it's huge.
Definitely. Our first one, it takes place way up high on an airplane, a place you usually feel pretty contained, pretty safe.
Right.
It's about a 13-year-old girl flying solo, an unaccompanied minor going all the way from Australia to the UK. Long flight.
Wow, that's a long journey alone at that age.
Yeah. And after a while, she gets this weird feeling like she's being watched. She looks around, can't pinpoint it, tries to brush it off, puts on a movie, remembers her mom telling her, don't talk to strangers, especially adults.
Good advice.
But then on a trip to the bathroom, she sees him, a man, maybe 4 rows back, just staring right at her, not even trying to hide it.
That's immediately unsettling. It's almost like testing the waters.
Yeah.
Seeing if she reacts, if she's aware.
Yeah.
In that kind of confined space, it's particularly unnerving. He's identifying vulnerability. She's young, alone, probably tired.
Exactly. And it gets worse later in the flight, during the sleeping hours. Lights are down, it's quiet, she's kind of dozing, headphones on, when he's suddenly there, puts a hand on her shoulder, gives it a little squeeze, mumbles something she can't hear. She pulls off her headphones and he's crouching down right by her seat. He says, sorry, you come back to the back of the plane with me, please?
It's like that.
It's just like that. She's confused, asks why. He points to the dark area at the back, behind the curtain. Then he pulls out this wad of cash.
Wow.
Says, I have money. If you like some, I just want to talk to you at the back of the plane. It'll just be a moment. She said later, being so tired, it almost felt more annoying. Like, leave me alone, I'm watching a movie. But what he actually wanted, chills.
That's classic predatory grooming. Using money. A seemingly small request, like just talk. Trying to isolate her. It's not overt force. It's manipulation. He's testing her boundaries, seeing if she'll comply for a reward. It's chillingly calculated.
Right. But then, thank goodness, this other woman sitting right behind her pulls down her eye mask, leans forward through the gap in the seats, and she just says, really sternly, she isn't interested. You need to return to your seat right now or I'll call for the flight attendant.
Amazing. Intervention is so crucial.
Totally. The guy just scrambles, puts his money away, hurries back to his seat, slides his own eye mask on, turns away, gone. The woman then told the girl, use the bathroom in the middle of the plane where it's lit, wake her up, or get an attendant if he comes near again. Even put a hand on her shoulder for a bit.
That's real solidarity.
Yeah.
Looking out for someone vulnerable.
Yeah. He didn't bother her again. But that feeling, wondering what he really intended, that stays with you. A reminder of how quickly things can turn, even surrounded by people. So that's vulnerability exploited in public. But what about at home? Your ultimate safe space. Our next story, it's about that. A new mother, totally sleep-deprived, home alone with her baby. It's a low-crime area, supposedly safe.
The place you should feel most secure.
Her husband, he's usually really careful about locks and security, maybe a bit paranoid even. He left her to rest, took the baby over to see family. So she wakes up later and she just feels freezing, super cold. And then she hears it, the front door clicking shut, quietly.
Oh, that's unnerving.
Yeah, and the house is pitch black. Her first thought is, oh, husband's home early. She calls out, like, honey, just softly. But nothing, just silence. And that silence felt wrong, heavy.
And the sleep deprivation adds another layer, doesn't it? Your senses are dulled, maybe your judgment too. You might initially trust a familiar sound, like the door. Even when something feels off, it plays on your expectations.
Totally. She gets up, checks the thermostat, thinks maybe she's just sick and feeling cold, turns on a few lights, looks around, nobody there, front door's locked. So that freaked her out, obviously.
Understandably.
Husband gets home soon after, they have dinner. Later, going to bed, she notices a bedroom window is open a crack. She doesn't remember opening it, but thinks, okay, that explains the cold. Husband checks everything and locks it all up tight.
Right. Taking precautions.
But then, around 2 a.m., she wakes up to pump, and that awful feeling washes over her again. She sits bolt upright in bed, and she can just barely make out a figure. Someone standing at the foot of her bed.
Oh my.
Still thinking it must be her husband, she whispers, asks him to get her some water. The figure doesn't move. She asks again. And then he speaks. And it's the most terrifying moment, she said. He says, no, go back to sleep. I like to watch you sleep.
Chilling. Absolutely chilling.
And the voice was definitely not her husband's.
That specific phrase, I like to watch you sleep, that's pure psychological terror. It's about power, violation of privacy, making the victim feel utterly exposed and helpless even in their own bed. It's designed to maximize fear.
Her reaction was instant. She just screamed. A full-on, blood-curdling scream, grabbed a knife she kept on the nightstand, and the intruder, who was dressed all in black, he just giggled.
Giggled.
Yeah, giggled. Then turned and jumped out the same window he must have climbed in through, the one she'd found open earlier.
Unbelievable.
Police came, but they basically called it trespassing. Said they couldn't prove she hadn't left the window open herself.
Oh, that's infuriating.
Yeah. They replaced the windows, added better locks, but knowing someone was in her room watching her, that feeling doesn't go away with new hardware. That sense of violation stays. So from a physical intrusion, let's shift gears to the digital world, where stalking can be just as invasive, just as terrifying. This story is from a fan fiction writer. She became the target of this online stalker, went by the name Ari for years.
Online stalking can be relentless. The anonymity, the persistence.
It started back in 2008, a private message on DeviantArt. Ari starts by saying she's seriously mentally ill, lists schizophrenia, among other things, then says she hates the writer. Why? Because her fan fiction terrified her.
Okay, that's an unusual reaction to fanfic.
Right, but it wasn't the story content. Ari believed the writer had somehow stolen her true love, and get this, her true love was a fictional character named John from the fandom.
Ah, okay, I see where this might be going.
Ari was convinced this character, John, used to talk to her inside her head. But after reading the writer's story, she believed John stopped talking to her and started talking to the writer instead.
This is a profound blurring of reality in fiction, likely stemming from her illness. The fictional character became entirely real to her, and the writer, by engaging with the same fiction, became a perceived rival, a threat in Ari's internal world. It's a very intense, delusional projection.
Yeah. So in Ari's mind, this writer wasn't just writing stories. She was actively messing with her thoughts, stealing her connection. Ari begged the writer to just reply, to say she was a normal person so Ari could, quote, move past the trauma.
A very manipulative way to demand engagement.
The writer felt bad, admits she was maybe a bit naive or stupid, as she put it. So she replied, confirmed, yes, I'm just a normal woman, no mind-stealing superpowers. Thought that would be it.
But it really is in these situations.
Nope. Ari instantly flipped, replied all cheerful, thrilled they could be friends now, and then casually asked for her real name and Facebook.
There it is. The attempt to bridge the digital gap into the real world. That's a major escalation.
Thankfully, the writer wasn't that naive. She declined, made an excuse about school, but Ari didn't stop. A few months later, a message from a different account. Veiled threats, saying the writer was causing this new user's suffering. It was Ari again.
Creating new identities to bypass blocks, maintain contact. Very typical stalking behavior online.
This went on. New accounts demanding answers about her John, insisting they were friends. Then, years later, 2015, the writer's now on Tumblr, gets an anonymous message. Same theme. Writers causing Ari's suffering by being callous, ending with a weird threat.
The obsession hadn't faded at all.
Not a bit. The writer found Ari's own Tumblr filled with these screeds about hating anyone else who wrote about John, and discovered she wasn't even the first. Ari had stalked another writer the same way.
So a pattern of behavior.
A clear pattern. Then 2016 to 2018, it just exploded. Cryptic comments turned into direct messages like, I'm so scared of dying alone and friendless. Then suddenly a dozen new accounts all created just to harass her.
That level of persistence is exhausting and terrifying for the victim.
The messages got incredibly disturbing. Things like, I want to kidnap you from far away and a happy ending, my darling. You stole him from me. Alternating with, I just want to sit next to you and be your friend. Then insults, calling her a prattling, ostentatious idiot.
Such volatile swings.
Yeah.
Love, hate, threats, pleading.
And the final straw, Ari started flooding her accounts with pictures, photos of Ari herself just glaring into the camera and tagging the writer with her nickname.
That's incredibly invasive, bringing her actual image into it.
The writer basically had to retreat online, limit everything. Blocking didn't work. Ari just made new accounts. She says she lives with this constant anxiety. Every new notification could be Ari. She feels sorry for her illness, but is firm. You are not harmless. It really shows how digital stalking can feel just as real, just as threatening as physical pursuit. Okay, let's shift from online obsession to one rooted in, well, a university friendship that went incredibly wrong. This involves a student and a guy in his dorm named Dominic.
The close proximity of dorm life can sometimes intensify these things.
Dominic seemed super nice at first, helped the narrator unpack, always friendly, but then it got intense, fast. He started sending constant texts, messages. If the narrator didn't reply right away, Dominic would get visibly upset. Always needed to know where he was, what he was doing.
That's controlling behavior disguised as friendship. It often starts subtly, testing boundaries, the constant need for contact, the negative reaction to delayed replies. Those are early red flags for possessiveness.
It definitely felt possessive. Dominic hated it when he made other friends, told him not to trust them. Then the narrator started dating a girl, Anna. When he told Dominic, Dominic's face just fell.
The perceived competition.
Totally. Dominic asked why her, then pleaded, I'm going to be jealous. Please don't go. It'll really hurt me. You wouldn't want to hurt me. I'm your best friend. Even though the narrator had already told Dominic he was straight.
Using guilt, emotional blackmail, trying to manipulate his decision. The best friend line is classic leverage.
The narrator went on the date anyway, but the whole time, his phone was blowing up. Non-stop calls, all from unknown numbers. He eventually had to put it on airplane mode just to have dinner.
Direct sabotage. And the unknown numbers provide a thin veil of deniability, but the intent is clear. Disrupt the date, maintain control, make the narrator feel harassed, and maybe even dependent on Dominic for peace. It's coercive.
When he got back to the dorm, guess who was waiting outside?
Dominic.
Yep, Dominic. Denied making any calls, of course. Then immediately started trashing Anna, claimed she was super promiscuous, said she'd break your heart, just relentlessly negative.
Trying to poison the well.
Yeah.
Undermine the relationship before it even starts.
Later, it got worse. Dominic sent him screenshots, supposedly a chat where Anna was bragging about using him, planning to dump him.
Faked screenshots. That's next level manipulation.
Looked totally fake. The narrator confronted him, then blocked him everywhere. And that's when Dominic just lost it. A constant flood of texts, calls, claiming he was suicidal, depressed, started taking heroin because the narrator abandoned him, and always saying Anna was cheating.
This is often called DARVO. Deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. Dominic denies his actions, attacks Anna, and paints himself as the victim hurt by the narrator's choices. The self-harm threats are a desperate, dangerous form of control.
That turned physical. One night, a brick comes crashing through the narrator's window.
Whoa.
Moments later, his phone rings. It's Dominic, saying, I just saw Anna throw a brick through your window and run. I told you she was bad news. You should have listened to me.
Unbelievable audacity, committing the act and immediately trying to frame the person he wants to isolate the narrator from.
The police got involved, and when they searched Dominic's room, they found a load of illegal drugs. He got kicked out of uni.
Consequences, finally. But the damage was done.
Yeah. The narrator said it really messed things up with Anna, too. She was understandably freaked out by the whole thing. It just shows how manipulative obsession can escalate to actual physical danger and destruction. Our next story unfolds in a place meant for care and assisted living facility. It involves a certified nursing assistant, a CNA, who is known for being good with difficult patients.
A challenging but vital role.
A new resident arrives in the secured unit. Very challenging. But he takes an immediate liking to this particular CNA. He'd calm down when she was there, but act out, sometimes violently, when she wasn't on shift.
This can happen in care settings. It's sometimes called transference, where a patient develops strong feelings for a caregiver. But when it becomes demanded, possessive, or leads to acting out, it crosses a serious line. It poses ethical dilemmas and safety risks for the staff.
Exactly. His demands just grew and grew. He started refusing care from anyone else, insisting she had to be there at all times. If she wasn't, he'd get furious, accuse her of not trying hard enough to see him.
That's completely unreasonable and puts immense pressure on the CNA.
Then he crossed a physical boundary, gave her this huge hug and kissed her on the cheek. She said it just made her feel queasy, uncomfortable.
A clear violation of professional boundaries. It signals his lack of respect for her role and personal space.
He started telling other nurses, even the facility managers, that only she could care for him. When they told him that wasn't possible, he threatened them.
Okay, now it's escalating to threats against other staff. That's a major safety concern for the whole facility.
The facility had to act. They forbade her from even going near his wing, which, she understood, but it also ramped up her anxiety. She started calling out sick more often.
The stress must have been immense. feeling targeted, responsible, but also unsafe.
And he didn't stop. He began calling the facility constantly, demanding her work schedule. When they refused, he threatened to come down there himself to find out.
That's a direct threat. Moving from demands within the facility to threatening to breach its security to get to her. That requires immediate safety protocols.
They had to create a plan of action, change her shifts, escort her to and from her car, just for her safety.
It highlights how a patient's obsession can essentially hold a staff member hostage, impacting their entire life and work.
Then suddenly they got word. He'd been arrested, violated his parole. Huge relief for her. But the story doesn't quite end there. About a month later, she found out he'd been murdered in jail. Her charge nurse sent her a news article, and it revealed his history. An incredibly violent history, including child abuse, neglect, domestic abuse, robbery.
Oh my goodness. So the threatening behavior wasn't isolated. It was part of a much larger, dangerous pattern.
Exactly. She felt this immense relief knowing he couldn't hurt anyone else ever again. A really stark reminder that sometimes the danger is far deeper than what you see on the surface, even in a care setting. Okay, let's move to a high school setting now. The story starts with something that seems pretty common, a prom invitation, but it quickly turned into, well, a stalking situation.
High school dynamics can be intense, and sometimes boundaries are blurred early on.
The narrator barely knew this girl, Mar. They'd met briefly at a summer camp a year earlier, hardly spoke. Then, out of the blue, he gets a text. "Hey, I missed you."
A year later. That's persistent.
They texted a bit, just catching up, he thought. Then Mar just asks him to her prom, which was an hour's drive away from his town.
Okay. The distance combined with the minimal contact is definitely raising a flag. It suggests a level of investment that doesn't match the relationship. Innocent request? Maybe, but the context makes it feel off.
He agreed, maybe reluctantly. But just 3 days later, he hears his sister yell from downstairs. He looks out his window, and Mar is standing in his driveway, having driven an hour, uninvited, just smiling and waving.
Whoa. That's a huge boundary cross. Showing up unannounced, especially for such a long drive, that's not normal getting to know you behavior.
His dad, bizarrely, just encouraged him to go out with her, so he did. Felt like he had to. Took her to a Chinese place, ordered tons of food for himself just to avoid talking.
Awkward deflection tactic.
Mar apparently spent the date telling angry stories about exes and asking really personal questions about his dating life, his future. Back at his house, she tried to kiss him. He panicked, physically pushed her away, described it like basically slapping her and giving her a facepalm.
A panicked reaction to unwanted advances.
As she's leaving, she takes Snapchat photos, captioning them first date. His parents just brushed it all off. Oh, people can be like that. You should be happier a girl likes you.
That dismissal is so unhelpful. It minimizes his discomfort and validates her inappropriate behavior. It basically tells him his feelings don't matter, which can make it harder for victims to trust their instincts later.
After the actual prom, the harassment just kept going. He spent weeks dodging her texts. On the night of her prom, she got angry he wouldn't stay over. He had a concert next day, and his sister literally had to come rescue him because Mar was getting so agitated.
Well, needing rescue from a prom date.
Months go by. Then he gets this anonymous letter in the mail. 3 pages, front and back. A massive declaration of love from M.
The obsession is clearly not fading. It's just changing tactics.
And it continued into college. Random texts, Snapchats from Mar showing she was in his town, asking where he was, even sending pictures of his old high school coaches. It only stopped when he finally blocked her number, blocked her everywhere he could. That relentless pursuit, ignoring every signal. Classic stalking. Our last story tonight deals with a relationship breakup that went terribly wrong. An ex who just couldn't let go, leading to invasion of privacy and, well, some really scary threats.
Breakups can be hard, but when someone refuses to accept it, that inability to let go can become dangerous.
So Carrie and Jack dated in college. Started okay, but Jack had these weird habits, like trying to eat her boogers, sticking his tongue in her nose, stuff like that.
Okay, yeah, that's beyond quirky. That's boundary pushing and kind of gross.
When Carrie finally broke it off, Jack did not take it well. Begged her to get back together, then sent a message to one of her friends, clearly meant for Carrie to see. I'd rather die than give up on winning her back.
That kind of statement is a huge red flag. I'd rather die than lose you isn't romantic. It's often a sign of extreme emotional dependency, possessiveness, and an inability to handle rejection healthfully. It can easily tip into dangerous obsession.
It got much scarier. One day, Carrie comes home to her apartment. The front door is unlocked.
Oh no.
Inside, it smells faintly of smoke. Neither she nor her roommate smoked, but Jack did. And lying on her bed, a strange umbrella. Not hers, not her roommate's.
He broke in. That's a terrifying violation. Proof he crossed the physical boundary into her private space.
When a mutual friend confronted Jack about the umbrella later, Jack got super defensive, asked, "Do you think I'm some sort of stalker?"
Classic deflection. Turning it around, making the confronter feel unreasonable.
Months passed. Jack still hadn't changed his Facebook status from in a relationship. Carrie had to ask her friend to message him about it. Jack's response was an essay. Again, clearly for Carrie, saying things like, "I can't promise that I will completely leave her alone. Resisting the urge to talk to her has been the hardest thing I've ever done."
Still refusing to let go, framing himself as the suffering party.
But then came the line that crossed everything. He wrote to the friend, knowing Carrie would likely see it. "There's a gun in the silverware drawer. I'm sure you could get my address from Carrie."
That is an unambiguous, terrifying threat. Mentioning a weapon, telling her how to find him. It's veiled intimidation, designed to instill fear and maintain control even from a distance. Chilling.
The friend was horrified, obviously. She made the call not to show Carrie that specific message about the gun, maybe hoping not to escalate things, maybe just out of fear.
A difficult judgment call in a terrifying situation.
Eventually, Jack called Carrie from a new number. They had a long conversation. He seemed to assume she had seen all the disturbing messages he'd sent her friend. After that, things slowly, finally started to fade. The last contact was apparently some drunk calls from his friend's phone.
A slow, agonizing end to a terrifying ordeal.
Yeah. It took a couple of years, but that chapter finally closed. It just underscores the lasting fear when a relationship sours into obsession and threats. You know, listening back to all these stories, the thing that really stands out is how danger can just appear from anywhere. A stranger, an acquaintance, an ex, even a patient. And how obsession works, that relentless nature. It's insidious.
It really is. These accounts are sobering reminders that vigilance isn't about paranoia. It's about acknowledging reality. Not everyone has good intentions, and our boundaries matter immensely.
But there's also resilience here, right? People intervening, like the woman on the plane, friends helping out, people surviving these awful experiences.
Absolutely, and that's crucial. The intervention, the support systems, trusting your gut when something feels wrong, recognizing those red flags early. These are all vital, not just for personal safety, but for building communities where this behavior isn't tolerated or ignored.
Yeah, exactly. Trust your instincts. So maybe that's the thought to leave you with today. How can we collectively get better at recognizing these signs, at speaking up, not just for ourselves, but for others? How can a small shift in our own awareness maybe change the outcome for someone else?
A powerful question.
Thank you for joining us for this pretty intense deep dive. If these stories resonated, if you want to hear more true accounts like these, please do like this deep dive, share it, and definitely subscribe to our channel, Horror Docx. Stay safe out there. Trust your gut. Remember, your well-being comes first.